So if we decide we don't want to, this,
What are the options again? But,
because we
Lord
did
have
have that
mercy.
happen several years up here when one of the council people took the lowest person
And jump that up to first.
and,
Yeah,
and put
fourth
that in
up to
first, and we did get sued, and the person who was rated first did win. But it was a different situation. That person that was at the bottom was a stranger, was not the best price, was not with us, didn't have a track record, so it's kinda like apples and oranges.
What you have here is the recommendation of the evaluation committee, and that's what you have before you.
Okay.
let me ask a question, if you allow me, Mr. Mayor. So, I totally, and I understand where staff is, I don't really, I don't know. So you saying the options that we have is either vote it down, throw everything out, or what? So is that an ordinance, or is it in, is it in the charter, Mr. Attorney? Is that a charter, or that's an, ordinance?
That is a City of North Miami Code of Ordinance. It's
Oh,
section
Code of
7-138.
Okay, so it's not so it's something that was done by resolution, or that could be, correct?
Well, it was
By
done by
ordinance,
ordinance.
yeah,
By
through
ordinance.
ordinance, okay, because we gotta look at that. But going back to that, I guess that's where I'm puzzling, and I was trying for us at the beginning not to have all this conversation, because everything Councilman Galvin is saying, I'm echoing the same thing, because there are grave concerns with the way it stands right now. So I don't really, if I do throw it out and start over, I don't know if I would trust that it will come back, and I'm just gonna say it, a fair, because at the end of the day, we gotta be fair. And you guys could stand here and try to convince folks, and member of the publics do not have all of the details the way it was, but no, I'm talking about member of the public's looking at the package. Huh? No. I understand. I'm saying that member of the public's on this particular issue does not have all of the details. What is, because there's a lot of back said, and I don't think the process is very clear to everyone. So we are in a bad bind. That's what I made when I made my comment, that this should have really looked a little bit different and before it even come to us, because looking at it, it's not fair. Now, you could say it's legally, whatever the case is. I understand it might be legally, but we got to do things fairly and rightly. And I understand the company selected might be the best company. They might. I don't know. I'm not even looking at that, because I'm looking at the process. Even before I even get to looking at their saving and all this good stuff, I got to look at the process, and the process to me does not sound too kosher, and I have an issue with that. So if we were to send it to go back again to redo it, how would we ensure that this would be done in a proper yeah?
The only thing I can submit to that, Councilman DeSume, is process-wise, we follow our code process. I would come up with completely different committee members.
Oh, okay.
That would be
That's
I would choose different people, like I attempted to do, get some outside members, outside professionals, to deal with this item. So that would be
All right.
how I would.
So which means at this point, we should be entertaining a motion to accept this, to put this item up, which is item I, is it?
right.
It's item I as in Irene. So we need a motion to,
Do I have a motion to approve tab
there
I?
is no motion. I'm asking for one.
Can I,
So,
my motion
Nope.
is to cancel the IFP and extend.
well,
Yeah.
which
No,
means no
no,
motion.
yeah.
Which means no motion.
Okay,
That's
so
my
item,
motion. You said no.
No,
I'm going in a motion.
the motion would be to accept it, to
Accept
approve.
or- yeah, and then you
What
could
do
do
you
your
mean?
Because it's an item
Right?
before
What,
us.
what are you talking about?
He can make whatever motion he'd like.
It's a motion. I'm
Oh.
going to
He's
make
making
a
a
motion on the table.
To do what?
But that's not.
That's my motion.
No, we understand that's your
Okay,
motion.
well,
That's
I don't
fine.
understand that.
No, I thought it was with the item, we had to either vote it down and then go to a different
Okay.
motion, so we don't have to do that, right? Mr.
Yes,
Attorney?
yes, we do. We have an item.
No, that's
You're-
my thought.
After reviewing the city manager's recommendation, the city council may A, approve the city manager's recommendation and authorize the contract.
That's why I'm asking for a motion to approve.
No,
B,
it's either
reject
or.
all proposals. B, reject all proposals. Or C, reject all proposals and instruct the manager of the purchasing department to reissue a solicitation. Those are your three options.
Okay, so I need a motion.
That's what
Okay,
I'm doing.
so Go ahead, your
The
motion.
motion is to cancel the RFP and start over and extend the contract at the same time for 1 year.
Okay,
That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Mr. Mayor, through you to the city attorney, can we have that motion all in one? Is that legally, you cool with that?
That's fine.
It's either or.
Either,
No, I know. I'm just making sure that we didn't need to split it out and do one separate from the other.
All right.
So I have a motion made by Councilman Bieneme, and I'm gonna read your motion, just correct me if I'm incorrect. Motion to cancel the RFP and extend the existing contract for a period
Of 1 year.
of 1 year. That's the motion I have from Councilman Bieneme. That motion was second.
wait, I'm sorry, read it again to me, Mr. Clerk.
Motion to cancel the RFP and extend the existing contract for a period of 1 year.
With, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
gotcha,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, and that motion was seconded by Councilman Desume.
So
Yes.
just to be clear, so everyone knows on the record, pursuant to our code, we are rejecting all proposals, and we are instructing the manager of the purchasing department to reissue a solicitation, just so it conforms with
Yes.
what I
Yes.
At the
just
same
said.
time. the
But
extension
said
of-
solicitation by the maker of the motion would not come back to us for a year because we're gonna continue.
The contract won't start, commence for a year.
For a year.
Yeah.
So conceivably, you could put an RFP out tomorrow, but it wouldn't go into effect next
Effective
year.
in
Yeah.
2019.
With that said, as motion as stated on the record by me, do all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 5-0 vote.
Mr. Mayor, through you to the city manager. So how do I would like to see, whatever bid comes back to us, I'd like to see some sort of narrative.
I'll work, we'll work with the purchasing director to see if, I'll see in coming up with the criteria, if we'll have, when you score, you have to put some, like some commentary.
Committee to do
Yeah,
that.
the committee, that's what I'm saying,
They
but
don't- they
but
don't
we'd
have
have to
to.
instruct them to do so in the committee, so, I got it, I
Right.
heard you.
Tab J, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the city administration's competitive selection of Flowtech Environmental LLC as the lowest responsible contractor to furnish labor, equipment, materials, and expertise required to complete the sanitary sewer evaluations, further authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute an agreement with Flowtech Environmental LLC for the provision of services in an amount not to exceed $1,650,724 in accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in the invitation for bid number 53-17-18, sanitary sewer evaluations, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Mr. Mayor, council members, the item that you have before you under tab J represents the results of solicitation 53-17-18, which was an invitation for bids issued by our office requesting bids from experienced and qualified firms to provide the city with sanitary sewer evaluation services on an as-needed basis. As reflected in your council report, which was submitted in support of this item, the scope of services to be performed under the contract include, but are not limited to, cleaning, inspection, evaluation of all sanitary sewer lines, manholes, and laterals located within the service limits of the city of North Miami. In response to the solicitation, the city received 5 bids, which are tabulated on the second page of your council report. Following our review and evaluation of each of these bidders, in collaboration with the Public Works Department, staff is recommending for council's approval and award of this contract to the firm Flowtech Environmental Incorporated as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for a not to exceed amount of $1,650,724 with an initial term of 2 years and 3 additional annual options to renew. The scope of work under this contract shall be carried out based on individual work orders issued by the Public Works Department to the contractor, Flowtech, for specific sections of the city's sewer system. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them. I should also add that the principal from the recommended bidder, Flowtech, is present here tonight and is available to answer any questions which the council may have. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, through you to Mr. Destrade, I see the staff recommendations on this. The staff recommendations are coming in as a cumulative. They're not broken out as the last one was with this staff member, this staff member, this staff member. There are approximately 4 people who served on the previous committee on the item before this. How many people served on the committee for this particular item?
No, Councilman Galvin, this is a bid. This one was based on bid. It's based on price.
Okay.
The selection is strictly based on price, also on their qualifications and experience. So there is no evaluation committee
There's no-
involved here.
So why would you have a subjective committee on one and not on the other?
No, because the other one is an evaluation committee pursuant to a request for proposals, which is not based solely on price.
So-
This type of recommendation is primarily based on price, although there's also experience and qualification. In other words, do you have the licensing requirements? How long have you been in business? Have you done this similar type of work? But it's primarily driven by price. As you can see on the second page of the tabulation, it's strictly really price-based.
So the fact that one was an RFP and one is a bid makes the difference?
Yes, sir.
I can still learn something new after all these many years in this chair.
I'm
So,
glad to hear that, Councilman Galvin.
Thank you.
I needed to hear some positive words.
thank you.
All right, the item, I guess, is now open to the public. Item J, as in Joseph, is open to the public for anyone who wishes to be heard. This is the time. Come to the mic. See none, hear none. Public hearing is closed. Item J is open for discussion on the dais. Concerns, questions?
Move approval?
If not, we need a motion. There is a motion to move the item J.
Second.
Have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab J. The motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 4-1 vote.
Ooh, that's
Tab
Carlos.
N is in Nancy.
Andrew's
Pro-
number 1.
Proposed resolution of,
Yeah, 32.8.
yeah, is it all right? Yeah. Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council and of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the site plan for a proposed 6-story, 67-unit multifamily residential development on a 1.1 acre real property generally located at 840 Northeast 130th Street and specifically identified with Miami-Dade County folio number 06-2230-013-01110 in accordance with Article 2, Division 7, Section 2-701, and Article 3, Division 2, Section 3-204 through Section 3-206, and Article 3, Division 3, Section 3-302 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Now, this item, Mayor, Council, members of the public, is in fact a quasi-judicial item. If you intend to be heard on this particular item, please rise, raise your right hand so I can swear you in.
Not us, the public.
Duke just happened to stand up at that minute and confuse everybody.
For those who are standing, repeat that, answer this question. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, Mayor, we have approximately 5 people sworn in.
All right.
Real quick, on your iPads, I know this is our
Yes.
first time on here, so we have a little technical difficulty.
Yeah.
On the ones that have the tabs individually on your iBook, this item is under what is listed as tab M
What is
and
M?
not tab
You
N
went to M. It's
on the
M.
screen, on the detail.
No, you went to M. Where you went to M?
We attached on this to the wrong thing.
Oh, you were, okay, you were,
That's why I'm getting CBO?
so it's this, so this is I. No, it's item M.
As in man.
Get a thingy.
This is M is the right one.
Yeah. No, I'm
Oh, thank you.
It was,
Yeah.
advertised
Thank you, I got it.
got it.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Joe.
Thank you for the record. Tanya Wilson Sejour with Community Planning and Development. The request before you is for approval for a site plan for the property located at 840 Northeast 130th Street. The site is currently zoned R2 Single Family Residential with a land use designation of low density residential. The complete size consists of 1.1 acre in size. That's a total of 48,186 square feet in size. Currently based on the existing zoning, as of right, the property allows for 5 dwelling units per acre. Based on the last approval, the last time the council saw this project, there was a conditional use permit approval, which granted 62 bonus units to the property owner. So in total, the project proposes an overall total of 67 units. So I'll walk the council and the public through the project itself based on the site plan submittal. So as mentioned before, there's 67 units that are contemplated. The entire development is proposed as a condominium development with a total of 6 stories in height. They're proposing LEED Gold certification, so we have an energy efficient design that's being proposed. Architectural style is contemporary, as you'll see in the image on the screen. We don't have an image coming up on the screen. If IT could assist me with, thank you. So the image on the screen, you'll see the contemporary architectural style. There's also a pedestrian plaza that's being proposed and an actual art wall that's being included as a part of the overall design. There'll be sidewalks that are proposed as a part of development. So sidewalk connections will be provided along Northeast 130th Street as well as Northeast 9th Avenue. There's also lush landscaping that is being proposed along the periphery of the development. There's going to be underground utilities included. Based on the total site plan, we have a total parking provided of 91 parking spaces. So they meet the code requirement for parking and are not asking for any variances at this time. Looking at the economic impact, the applicant also supported additional materials on economic analysis with the submittal. We're projecting a 98,515 annual increase in tax revenue. City's portion would be 31,875 in additional taxes to the city annually. There's a projection of 35 full-time construction jobs as a result of this project. There are also 10 permanent employees that are anticipated once the project is constructed.
How many?
10 permanent employees in terms of property management for the site itself. Looking at the annual wages that are anticipated from the creation of those jobs, the impact analysis indicates that you can anticipate $350,000 in terms of annual wages brought in as a result of these 10 jobs. Permit fees to the city, $40,000 in permit fees and another $55,000 in impact fees. We understand from the studies that within the last 50 years there have been no new developments within this central city area. So we understand from the new housing that's being created, the 67 units, we anticipate an additional generation of 2.5 billion in terms of total household expenditure. So we see that there's significant economic impact that can be associated with this project that's being proposed. So looking at the overall review, the DRC reviewed this project back in July 20th of this year, and it's found that all the criteria from the code has been met. So the DRC is recommending approval of the site plan at this time. In terms of the portions, I mentioned before that there's a public art piece that's being suggested as a part of the project. That public art piece would have to be submitted to the art selection committee. So if the site plan is approved tonight, the next step would be to request approval from the art selection committee for that proposed art piece. And then the last piece is that, based on the code, after the site plan is approved, the applicant has 18 months in which to request building permits. So we know that there's a timeline in terms of approval and the actual requesting of building permits. So this concludes staff's presentation at this time. If the council has any questions, staff can answer it. Otherwise, I know that the applicant has a presentation as well.
Thank you. Seems like we have something from the developer's attorney.
Yes, sir.
Hmm?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Manager, Deputy Manager, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Clerk, and all the assorted staff, including Ms. Tajur. We appreciate the time to speak to you. I'm going to be very brief. This is a great project. It's an attractive project. It will significantly enhance the development of the city in an area where you want development. It's half a block off Dixie Highway. It's a green building. It's got access to mass transit. As you heard, it will have a number of people moving in. Jobs are being created. There's $100,000 a year worth of taxes being generated. There's approximately the same amount that's coming to you in the form of either permit fees or impact fees. And we think it can help with the plan to redevelop some parts of downtown, particularly to try to provide new, up-to-date housing stock, which is so greatly needed in this city. The project has met every criteria that DRC has imposed. And let me say to you in all candor, DRC was really thorough with us on this. They came back with comment and comment and comment, but they did their job. They did it very well, frankly, and we did ours because we answered every single comment to their satisfaction. This is a good project. The developers have shown that they desire to be good corporate citizens as well as good neighbors. They've made significant changes to accommodate those around them. All things considered, this is the kind of project you want for your city, and this is something that will move this city forward. I'll remind you that what they're building is 2/3 the height and the density that they could have been allowed to seek. They didn't have to compromise. They didn't have to be told, no, tone it down. They did that on their own. And it's much less dense than what anybody else could have asked to put there, and it's much less tall. So this is a sensitive, beautiful project. I'm going to briefly introduce, I will introduce for brief remarks, to be grammatically correct, the architect, Mr. Patrick Vallant, and we're happy to answer any questions. The developer's representative, Mr. Akbas, and his partner, Mr. Ornarli, are here, and they would also be available should there be any comments. Mr. Vallant.
I too will keep this very brief. It's been a long evening already. I just want to thank staff. The DRC process has been approximately 3 months long. Ordinarily, as an architect, you find this to be a laborious process and a little painful, but it actually, to be honest with you, it was good. It was educational for me, especially working with the planning department. We did a lot to save some trees that originally were going to be removed. Well, we added 2 more trees to the project that we were relocating. So we did some things with the streetscape, with our paving patterns, with our art, with our wall. We jogged the wall in and out. We were able to hit a very, very big one for me, and that was the ability to jog the wall in. That came up way back with commission and add the landscaping on the neighbor side. So to me, we were able to make it work. We made it work structurally. We made it work with the community. DRC bought off on it. Planning bought off on it. So I'm proud to say that we're adding landscaping to the rear of the property. So that to me was a huge victory. We're able to put some gates in that allowed us to maintain that landscaping. So, anybody that doesn't think this process works, go back about 6 or 8 months ago when that item first came up, when everybody was kind of like, we can't make it work, it's not possible. We worked with staff, we made it work, and we're very happy with not only the building, but how we're actually going to be landscaping and sort of softening the building a little bit. I'll leave it at that. I'm here for any questions or comments the rest of the evening. Thank you.
We'll open this to public hearing. Anybody would like to come up and speak? Okay. only the ones who are sworn in will be able to speak.
Richard Ennis, 13030 Northeast 10th Avenue. I just have three comments. One is a logistic one. You said it was 40,000 square feet? Well, 1.1 acres should be closer to 47,000 square feet, even though they're not asking for 99 units. 48? Oh, that's better. Okay, 48 makes that right. According to your own ordinance, since this is one folio, I don't care what they're putting there, you can't put more than 2 cars in the swale. So I don't know how you're going to allow them to park 7 or 8 cars on the swale or in the swale space. So I don't know how you're going to make that fly. And they really need those extra spots because they don't have enough parking to begin with. And the third thing is, I think somewhere along the process you need to put a stipulation in here, because I think Mr. Valiant said in one of the presentations that I went to on this that according to the price points that they were trying to sell, this owner would not make this project fly unless he had 50% pre-sale to make sure that it was going to stay a condo and not a rental. So somewhere along the way, I personally don't think this thing is ever going to get off the ground for the price points that he's asking, if he sticks to his original saying that he will not build it unless he pre-sells more than half of it. So, and somewhere in there you need to put that stipulation in there if he ever comes back to you with a final approval. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Juliana Page. I reside at 910 Northeast 130th Street. I have some questions about traffic. I counted tonight between 5:30 and 5:45, 46 cars traveling back and forth on Northeast 9th Avenue. That's with no building yet across the street. Last month, in the month of July, which was a slow month, there was no school, you had the traffic counting machines across the road. And I counted, because I worked on a Saturday outside in the yard, I counted anywhere from 20 to 22 cars every 15 minutes. So I don't know what your toll was on that, what you did in July. I would like to know. And I find in the mornings you have commercial vehicles driving down Northeast 9th Avenue, and these are food trucks bringing groceries and food to restaurants, I believe. There are school buses and other commercial vehicles before 8:30 in the morning. So there is a lot of traffic now with high school. My question is, Northeast 10th Avenue has been closed. 12th Avenue has a circle. So there is no through traffic really with a traffic light from 125 to 135. And they're using 9th Avenue, and we have no light on West Dixie Highway. Somebody just said that we are half a block from Dixie Highway. Why these commercial vehicles are not using West Dixie Highway? I believe it's because it's a shortcut. They don't want to go to Northeast 6th Avenue and fight the light for 125th Street and for Northeast 6th Avenue and West Dixie. So they just drive down Northeast 9th Avenue. And there is a lot of traffic, more so than ever. And I want to know how that's going to happen. If you are landscaping very well around your condominium, that's great.
Ms. Page,
okay, but I just want to say, where are they going to park except by my properties? And no developer yet has come to talk to me about accommodating
means that your time
me.
is up,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Page. Thank you very much. Are you the assistant chief to her mom, Ms. Page? Yes. I've never met you. You're the mother of such a wonderful man, such a wonderful guy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I have seen you around.
Thank you. All righty. Public hearing is still open, I guess. I see no one coming. Public hearing is not closed.
I have two questions for the developer and one to staff, a couple comments. To Mr. Manager, what is the status of that traffic circle we were talking about? You were doing a study for 9th and 130th. Were we able to get any information?
Public Works Director.
No, we
Give me a moment, I'll get the
okay,
Public Works
so
Director.
we'll keep going. Mrs. Jour, I had some questions, which you sent me a report on, which I'll share with the audience. You've got 67 condo units, all are two-bedroom, and my main concern with this project, it's a beautiful project, we want it, and as I've been saying all along, I don't think there's adequate parking. We've got 1.5 parking spaces gives you 107 parking spaces, and all we were provided in this package is take a 15% reduction in parking spaces. And how we got to those 16 parking spaces was because we have hybrid vehicle credit of 10 spaces. So if we don't have, so you're saying that there's 10 of the 67 units are gonna have hybrid vehicles, which is not likely, but those are gonna be assigned. So you're giving 10 spaces off because you have a hybrid. Number two, you get a parking space credit for 5 bike racks. You get a 2-bedroom apartment, and you've got a family with 4 or 5, with 3, 4 bikes, and now all of a sudden you don't need a parking space. But my question to staff is, in your report, it says there's 25 spaces, and in your letter to me, Ms. Jour, through the mayor, you're saying there was 35 bike racks. So towards the beginning of this staff report, it says 25. So we have 25 or 35.
So we have a total of 35 bike racks.
Okay,
is
so
what's
the
being
report's wrong
proposed.
in the front because it says 25 bike racks. Okay. Question to the developer, are your parking spaces going to be assigned or are they just free for all?
I'm not certain that they've made that final decision yet, but let me just say that on the other point that you're raising, it's not staff that's decided that we get those bonus credits. It's in the code that there are, and it's not just the bike racks, that's important, and hybrid vehicles, but it's also the proximity to public transit and the fact that the building is built the way it is. Those are things that the code prescribes.
But it's not automatic. And you take into, I'm allowed to take into consideration the entire project. So if you
Yes,
had-
ma'am.
if you
Oh,
had
I'm not
s-
saying you
if you
can,
had
I'm just trying
67
to.
If you had 67 one-bedrooms, great, now you've got 67 two-bedrooms. So you've got about 120 possible, 130, good 120 cars.
Candidly, Vice Mayor, the difference typically and most often between a one and a two-bedroom, if you have a couple, they either decide they're gonna get by on one vehicle or the couple has 2 vehicles. That's the same if it's a 1 or a 2-bedroom. The 2 bedrooms, most often, now, so there may be some roommates that, people have roommates.
Teenage children,
But, yes, but
Millennials living with
typically
their
it's
parents.
children that,
millennials living that they haven't left home at 25, 20.
we have a word for that, we call that adult essence.
Okay. Okay. Well, I
But
just wanted to know if you
More
had a
often than not, but my understanding is the direct answer to the specific question you called me up, I don't know that that's been completely decided yet.
Okay.
Ultimately, with a condominium, once they're filled out, that's kind of gonna be a question for their board to some degree, because the board may decide, if the developer said, no, it's not assigned, the condominium may come along after and say, no, we wanna, make sure that everybody has just what they're entitled to,
Yeah,
so.
usually when you buy your condominium, especially from a developer, you get an assigned parking space, so you know that someone who's got 3, 4 cars isn't, you're not gonna come home at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, or even 10, and your neighbor has taken 4 of the spaces, so you are gonna want an assigned.
I think your point is well taken.
Which should be right there, 67 assigned spots.
I think your point is well
Okay,
taken.
just rambling here. Something that was mentioned, I think, earlier in the planning commission was, short-term rentals. Since this is multifamily, I believe you all agreed that you would not have so it's a condo, you're gonna write into the condo association that there will be no short-term rentals.
That's absolutely agreed, and in fact, my understanding, and the city attorney can correct me, but I believe those are prohibited under your local ordinance anyway, and unless the
They're
idiots in Tallahassee screw that up somehow, which could always certainly happen, that's not gonna be preempted.
Is that-
Mr.
is that-
Attorney?
Condos,
Single-family homes.
but this is multifamily condo, so we can't prohibit,
We're amenable to,
that would be in your condo bylaws,
yes.
okay.
We don't want that. The developer is very against that. It lowers the value of the property and it's a bad thing. People don't want it.
So personally, I just feel 91 spaces is not enough for a 67-unit condo with 10 employees, 10 of those spaces being charging stations, 2 of them are loading docks or zones, and guests. And if this was not in a single-family residential area, great, but any car that's not gonna fit in your 91 parking spaces is going in front of neighbors, single-family homes.
No, ma'am. With all deference, no. First of all, 10 employees, not all at the same time. I mean, there's 1 or 2 people on duty, there's a lot of shifts, so it's not 10 spaces taken up for employees. Secondly, and I noted the gentleman's comment about the swale parking, and that's something we'll need to look into, but we did and in fact, I think you originally had made that suggestion. We've provided so that if there is a shortage of spaces,
Right.
up to 7 will be on our footprint on properly prepared swale property. However, there is another thing that maybe is not apparent, and I'd like to ask the architect to address that.
So our goal, even though we were taking the 15% reduction, our goal was to try to get back to the original number. So with the 7 spaces in the swell area, which again would be properly set up with pavers, impervious area, we also allocated in our site plan, which is part of your package, an area for lifts. Hopefully we won't need them, but they are there. We're gonna be setting up the structure. It's already set up the height, setting up the power and the ability from the function. So a couple of things we did since your last package. We've changed the circulation pattern, thanks to DRC and working. So we've got 2 ways in and 2 ways out. We've completely rechanged the circulation going around the inside here, so that you won't have a lot of circulation in the exterior. And we've added an area on the side which is also buffered with landscaping for lifts, for possible lifts. We've already looked into the cost of that. We've already spoken to the client about that, how you would instead of tandem, we got rid of the tandem, which was a big deal. And so I think there's space for 6 to 8 lifts here. So the 6 to 8 lifts plus the 7 swale, 13, 14 spaces, that doesn't get me 16, but there is a heck of an effort here trying to get back to the original number. We've made a lot of efforts there. We've kept this entire area high. We've kept our service area on one side. We've made our area for the swimming pool so the structure wouldn't be seen. So we've put a lot of effort into the circulation. We're trying to keep 90% of the circulation within the property. You'll see you have a drop-off area in the front, which you know about. There's a drop-off area on the end. There's circulation internal, and there's also a drop-off area here. So FedEx comes, Amazon, UPS, they're not parking in the neighbors, putting their flashings on. There are 3 opportunities within this site plan to actually drop off or pick up, and that's huge.
Is
And
that included in the 2 parking spaces?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said how many lifts? 6, 7?
6 to 8, it
to
depends on
8.
how we actually do the landscaping and the FPL meters. I don't want to overstate it because we're still going to get into construction documents, but there was a lot of effort put into that portion of it. So I think everyone's talking a lot about parking, parking, parking. What's not being spoken about here is circulation. And to me, if I'm a neighbor, I'm as concerned about the people who are coming and going, headlights and everything else, as I am about people that are parking. So we all know in the world we live in, everyone's they're buying things on Amazon, eBay, etc. So there's a lot more UPS trucks, FedEx trucks coming and going. Our goal was to get a lot of that happening internal to this property so that the neighbors along the 130th wouldn't have to deal with that. So we're pretty proud of the fact that we've done that, working with staff on getting the circulation pattern, which granted, circulation took a space or two away, but we think it added to the drop-off circulation from the lobby area on 2 sides. So you have really 3 opportunities here to get to the lobby, which again is huge. It's a lot of work that went into
Were
that.
you able to get any type of parking agreement with the neighbor, the church?
Not yet. And that's still in some negotiations, but not yet. It didn't go as well as everyone hoped it would go.
Okay, thank you.
Tried.
Oh, sorry, thank you.
You did, Public Works actually sent you the communication this morning about the traffic circle.
I didn't see
Based on the analysis they did, the intersection does not warrant a traffic circle. Based on the 2 legs, crash analysis, so on and so forth.
It will.
According to engineering
Is that
standards.
the state or the county?
Even at, would it, what, at the light?
That at the intersection of 9th and 130th Street.
Is that a county, is that county or state? Right there.
The Whistler can come up, and I think that's probably county standards.
Whistler Pierre Lewis, Public Works Director. That is the preliminary analysis that we do before we request it from the county.
So you have the communication. They are recommending electronic signs.
And what are you doing at Dixie right now? We doing anything different with the traffic patterns? 'Cause right now,
Di-
I don't think it's really hard to
Dixie
get
is
out.
a state road.
But you can't go out there, it's a right only, or it's just really,
The closing of, we're talking about the closing of 130. Who closes, the city or state?
No, they're talking about the one about.
Just help
that's-
you.
but my second question is also, exiting 130th Street, going west to Dixie. Made that kind of difficult, there's no light.
Yeah, that,
Yeah, you
that would
there's-
still be something that would be under the jurisdiction of the state FDOT.
They're doing that closing?
It would have to be requested and approved by them.
But do you know who closed it before?
We would love it if you could figure out a way to get that be 2-way with a right turn only at 130th. We think that would help the traffic pattern. Right now, you can't exit there, and it's
No,
really a
that's
trap.
not, this is not part of the discussion tonight.
No, it's not, I just,
No.
my
Just-
question is
just
to keep,
Okay, thank you very much. Any other comment on the item before we go for a vote?
Quick question, Mr. Mayor. How does the parking get assigned? If you've got, what is it, 67 units, and you've got 1.7, is that, well, am I doing the math right in my head? 1.7 per unit? I mean, obviously, somebody can't get a 1/7 of a parking space. So how do you divide up who gets your limited number of parking spaces, and how do you codify that?
Honestly, we really haven't gotten that far into beyond the first space. If somebody pays the extra, if they get extra units, we really haven't gotten into that, who gets the extra spaces. Obviously you wouldn't divide that up, or if those would just be overflow. But I think the idea would be to assign that initial space, and then other spaces would be assigned based on some functions. But honestly, we haven't gotten that far into it.
I'm just sort of curious, when do we get to know that type of information, or do we ever, is it only once the buildings open their door?
It's condominium, right?
Is there a parking review, so to speak, that comes back at any stage, or?
Goes in
We
your
just assign the spaces and you guys decide how that's.
Goes in your declaration
This
of
is-
condo.
Your
and
condo
Condo
docs
docs.
is another place that it would appear, so they would need to memorialize that in the
In the
condo
condo
docs.
docs.
Which would be
That
recorded
could be
documents.
reviewed by your city attorney's office prior
But
to
we don't
final.
review those condo docs as a normal.
No, but your city attorney could, because we've done it in the past with other developments, where a part of your approval is, it's subject to submittal to the city attorney's office for final review.
The ones who are a single mom that have kids that need one space, the ones that somebody is committed to using mass transit half a block away, and that's why they moved here, the ones that work in the city and can bike to work, those people, none of them, and the ones, by the way, not only the millennials that are kids, but if it's, you know, living there, that are more oriented to Uber or Lyft, probably, as Vice Mayor said, everybody gets, probably we have to sign, everyone gets one, and then the people who don't need a second space, and there are a lot these days that don't require a second space, they're good with the one, and the ones that want to be sure they have two probably purchase a second one for some probably fairly small amount, but
And-
just to distinguish.
And you'd control that in your condo documents because otherwise,
Yes.
that's my spot and Mary's parking in my spot all the time. It will somehow be assigned.
Yes. Yes. A number, you know, is given out, and, you know, that pretty much the process sorts itself out. If, as it turns out, not enough people want to purchase a second because they just don't need it, because they are Uber or Lyft or mass transit or bike or a single mom or a single dad, I don't know, could be single parent, either way. Maybe they say, well, listen, we'll just have more guests. But maybe they say, listen, if you really can demonstrate a need, you could purchase a third after everybody who wanted a second has purchased one. But again, that typically does get sorted out in the condo docs. We don't want people coming to blows in the parking lot.
And how
if
many
we can
guest
help it.
spaces do you foresee having?
Whatever it called for. Whatever they told us we should have, we've got. I don't know the answer.
6? Okay,
Six.
6 is healthy. Okay.
Plus, again, 7 on the swale on our property, on pavers, that none of that, that's extra. That doesn't count towards our count. It's just something we provided. Frankly, the vice mayor had said, you know, why don't you make better use of that? And we said, that's a really good idea. So we did it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all the questions.
Sure, no problem. We need a motion for this item.
Second?
I have a motion made by Councilman DeZilme to approve tab N. Yes, that motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Item passes with a 4-1 vote. Tab O, discussion and
We
consider.
thank you for your time and attention, and have a great evening.
Discussion and consideration to reschedule the regular council meeting of Tuesday, September 11, 2018 to Wednesday, September 12, 2018 as a special council meeting in observance of Rosh Hashanah.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second, okay.
I have a motion made by Mayor Smith Joseph to approve tab O. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote.
Okay, citizen forum is now open for anyone who wants to speak about anything.
Mr. Mayor, please excuse, I'm gonna have to leave.
Yeah. Citizen forum is now open. I see none. Citizen forum, I see 1, 2, 3. Go ahead.
Ron Platt, 391 Northeast 131st Street. Gentlemen, regarding, and Vice Mayor, regarding the parking situation for the condo, I just want to state, I'm in the real estate business. I work with developers all the time. The parking needs to be stipulated in the condo docs, which are filed by the state, and they're typically done either during construction or before construction. So that needs to be decided prior to, and I don't know how the city can require that it not be a decision whether to assign or not assign. It needs to be assigned to cut down on the parking that is occurring around the neighborhood. Just
Thank you.
FYI.
Thank you.
Hi, John Della Gloria, offices at 1065 Northeast 125th Street. Every time I talk about this item, Councilman DeSolme disappears. Hopefully, he's coming back.
No, he's not.
He's not? Is that true?
He's gone.
Okay. In that case,
We still
I
have
will.
room.
In that case, I will say it's very nice to see you. And I guess somebody will be showing up on September 12th to ask what I was going to ask this evening. I don't want to put anybody on the spot over this item. I would like to point out, however, that when we were here last time, it is our legal position that having met every single requirement under your conditional use permit, and I'm not saying this in a harsh way, we were absolutely entitled under the law to that approval. Notwithstanding what I just said, and without our prejudicing any of our rights, just for your information, we have been working on some modifications to the plan. I believe Councilwoman Keys knows that. We've been dealing with the parking issue, and we will be coming back. But again, I need to make this clear with your city attorney when we finally do this, that we're coming back without prejudicing our rights under our initial application. So, since Councilman DeSolme decides that I guess he's allergic to me or something, I guess I'll see you guys another time. Thank you.
William Simpson. I'm exempt by state law from giving my address, so I won't do it. What I would like to say is every day my wife and I ride bikes. We go down East 135th Street, east of the boulevard, through the FIU road that exists into FIU. We enjoy that every day. Been doing it for a long time. However, I do have a question. At 2600 Northeast 135th Street, Marina Bay Condos, there are large banners that hang off the roof over the side of the building. My question is, why is this one building exempt from the city codes? If I decide to hang banners or signs off my roof on the side of my house, I'm sure to be cited. While I do understand the people's right to protest, while I do understand their concern, I do not understand why they are above the law, why the law does not pertain to everybody else, that is why it's not being enforced to this one building, and why they are exempt. Are they a specialized building? What's going on? Can somebody from the city manager's office or from the commission please answer my question? Because if I do it, or somebody on Northwest 7th Avenue does it, or in the central part of the city, they're going to be cited. But this has gone on for months. Whether you're for the project or against it, it's not fair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Richard N. East, 13030 Northeast 10th Avenue. I wasn't going to say anything for Citizens Forum, but John stimulated me. The project that you just approved going forward, that we just discussed about on 130th Street, fell under the NRO, and those were the guidelines you used to give them the 62 extra units on the 1.1 acres. It's obnoxious. It doesn't make sense for the neighborhood. But you turned down John's project on 2 acres. He under the same NRO, he came in with similar requests, and he should get bonus units and whatever. And his project makes sense with those people on the 123rd Street, where they prefer to have a 55-story storage unit with a 10-foot setback, which could go there tomorrow, and you guys couldn't do anything about it. But wouldn't you rather have John's project with a 35-foot setback and a beautiful apartment with affordable housing, senior housing. It meets all the things you guys have been asking for, but then you turned it down with a 2-2 vote, which it probably should have never I don't know where he is. He's there, like John said, he's gone now. He wasn't there the night that you voted on this. So it doesn't make sense. You need to let him come back with that project and approve it. And I have one other question. This design that you came up with on Smith Joseph Way, I'm sorry, 133rd Street. I know down the road you're going to probably look to rename that street. Whose brilliant idea was to take away Swale and put parking on 2 blocks there? Are you going to do that through the entire city? It doesn't make any sense. I know, and you've wasted I don't know how much more money there, blaming it on extra sewers or whatever. But that project's come back twice for extra money.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Jessica Alston, 1140 Northwest 125 Street, Sunkist Grove. This year, we are doing a project with Benjamin Franklin K-8 Center, and we're asking for the support of the city and the council, especially the recreation department, in making some better plan for the Ben Franklin Park in conjunction with the principal. So I'm here asking for your support, and I'm asking for you to give someone, to assign someone to help us with that project at Ben Franklin Park. We also want the children to be able to get library cards from the library. We just need some assistance. So can you help us by designating someone who will help us promote our project?
I designate Councilman DeSulme, who is your representative in that district.
Good job. I'll second that one. Mr. Mayor, can I?
Have you called him and let him know that you want to do this? And I don't want to belabor the night, but.
Ms. Olson, who is us?
Sunkist Grove Neighborhood Association,
Okay.
Tap Life, which is my own business as well. And we're a project coordinating with Ben Franklin K-8 Center this year as a service project to help those families and children, because the majority of that school operates on level 1 and 2.
Duke, you don't want to do it?
I'm asking for assistance, that's all.
Well, we've got a motion and a second.
We can't legitimately
Okay, I
assign Mr.
understand.
DeSulme, but certainly go to him and ask him, sir, if you haven't already. I'm not going to jump in on his district
okay,
and say I'm going to help you out. That's not fair.
What
So-
about the part about the Parks Department? Can you direct the Parks Department to assist?
Okay, so
I'll do this for you. If you send me an email and tell me what you want, I'll make sure I convey that to the staff and to see what they get. But to say, help us with the park, does that mean resod it, tear it up, put in a football stadium? Do you want new lighting? Do you want, but that's where we need a little bit more direction from you guys.
All right. Well, we would like the support of the city and the council in this project. Thank you.
thank you very much.
My name is Robert Houston, and I reside at 1150 Northeast 123rd Street. Good evening, council. Good evening, audience. And I would like to address the development on Northeast 124th Street, especially to this gentleman who has not been from the beginning, from the inception to where it is right now. The city actually convened a meeting between the residents of the neighborhood and the developer, where 2 property owners came and presented a project of mixed use that was going to have artist studios, was going to have sufficient parking, and was going to have 175 living units. What we got is half the parking, no artist studios, and a project that's going to be on one piece of parcel of the property instead of 2 parcels. Even though the original development plan showed 1 parcel, we were sold a bill of goods by the city and by the developer that just doesn't meet what the developer is presenting today. I support the project 100% as long as the developer keeps the promises that he made to the residents of the neighborhood. which include no spillover effect and a transition zone. Thank you very much.
John Chisholm, 850 Northeast 123rd Street. So I think it was last May when the city council didn't approve the conditional use permit for the project on 123rd Street. And it was presented that, and shown that it was a bait and switch. They had, presented a 3-story building on 123rd Street and a tall building on 124th Street. When they asked for the NRO line to be moved, that was one of the things they presented. And then when they asked for the conditional use permit, it was 7 stories on 123rd Street instead of 3 stories. And they can say, oh no, that's not true, but all this is documented on the video recordings of the city council meetings. And between now and September 12th, like the opportunity to compile these segments of the videos and present them to city council members to see that that is exactly the case. If they would just come back with the same project that they had from September 21st, 2015, 3 stories on 123rd Street, the setbacks, the parking, any opposition would just evaporate. But they presented one thing to get the NRO line moved, and then they present something else. And it's the bait and switch that we oppose. We don't oppose the mixed use. We don't oppose the affordable housing. We just want the 3 stories on 123rd Street and the other things that they promised. Thank you.
All right, the citizen forum is now closed. I was going to try to check the election results.
Andrew Gillum has been declared the winner in Florida for the Democratic primary.
The primary.
I said Democratic.
The primary, yeah.
Yeah, DeSantis won Republican.
All right. Do we have any reports?
Mr. Mayor, I through you to the city manager. I had a couple of things. First, I want to address, if we can, Mr. Simpson's question about the banner on 135th Street. My understanding was because it was a political banner, that it could stay for a short period of time. Did we ever reach an agreement with the neighborhood association? What that might
I have
be?
to look back at code, but I think we took that similar position, but I haven't looked at it from.
It might be
someone
time
else.
for that sign to come down if I
Okay.
have to help you convey that message.
Okay.
But Bill, the reason that it was allowed to stay up longer is because it's political signage, and it's not like a banner for open now, grand opening kind of thing. So if you want to put a Donald Trump sign in your front yard tomorrow that says Trump 2020, that's allowed because it's political free speech, and theirs was sort of political free speech too, as they protested. You don't have to, but I'm just saying, if somebody wants to put, Hillary 2020 in their front yard tomorrow, right? But you get where I'm coming from, though. It was because it was political. It was given a little bit more leeway than our codes speak directly to 1 month for grand opening, 1 month for 2-for-1 special kind of thing, commercial uses. Our codes are absolutely silent to that, because somebody would have a hard time challenging that in court. And I said to the homeowners, at some point this sign's gonna have to come down. The signs were expensive, and they were a lot of labor for them to put them up because they did them themselves. So they didn't want to just put them up and then take them down the next day. I said, fine, but we're gonna have to have this discussion. So the discussion shall be had. I will ask the homeowners to take it down. If they give me their proverbial middle finger and say, see you in court, then this city would have to decide where it wants to go with going after political free speech, because that's essentially what it is. It's not a commercial banner. You're welcome. And then, Mr. Manager, we were going to have a vote tonight to revoke, maybe it's for the city attorney, we were going to have a vote tonight to revoke the short-term rental grandfather on a property, and it's not on the agenda tonight. There was a group of homeowners that were here this morning, at the start of this meeting, that had left because they were surprised. What's up with the property and the grandfather status on Keystone Road?
We actually prepared the resolution. It's prepared. It's ready to go. We did a little bit more research and decided just to kind of belt and suspenders thing to actually give the property owner notice so that they'd have less opportunity to be able to challenge whatever decisions made. So we're giving them notice. It'll be back on the next agenda.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Yes, before the next meeting, we will have our Getting Gear bike ride, and hope everybody will join us. The ride's been getting larger, everybody's enjoying it. One stop will be our new Burger King on West Dixie Highway. They're going to be hosting that, and I believe we are going to have Wingstop, our new wing restaurant on 125th, are also going to host. It's not guaranteed, but Burger King is. So I hope everybody will come out on September 8th. And also, the September. What?
Remodeled.
Well, remodeled.
Oh, okay.
Under new management.
New and improved.
New and improved. And also, the September,
They're open already.
yeah, I
They're
think so,
operating.
yeah. But they're gonna host our stop. Hopefully they'll give us some nice coffee and some stuff.
Coffee?
September 9th is
I want
the
some chicken
Jewish.
fries.
That's okay. September 9th is the first night of Rosh Hashanah, which is before our next meeting, so I'd like to wish everybody a happy and healthy and sweet New Year.
That's it?
That's it.
Councilman?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Can you remind us when is the first budget hearing, please?
That's that night, we're gonna have that garbage discussion after the long budget hearing.
Do you have anything, manager?
We're starting at 5?
Do you
Oh,
have
no, no, I'm
anything?
sorry, it's the 12th. Garbage discussion's on the 12th.
Do you have anything to report?
Oh, I do not, sir, sorry.
Nothing to report.
All right.
So, Councilwoman Keys would like, I have reports. Councilwoman Keys would like to appoint Jody Sobrano to the Parks and Recreation Board. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion made by Vice Mayor Keys to approve her appointment to the Park and Recreation Board. That motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 4-1 vote. And before I wrap up, I wanted to acknowledge the presence of my, I would call her my political mom, Nancy. 8 years ago, roughly 8 years ago, she ushered me into politics. She's hiding behind the, but I think this is her first time here since 8 years ago when I was sworn in here. And I just wanted to acknowledge her presence. I was in fact elected at 27, one of the youngest of the state at the time because of her. She polished me, helped me control my temper. So anyway, Nancy, welcome to North Miami. Look, she's right there hiding back there, but good seeing you.
She moved to
Yeah, let's give her a round. Thank you for bringing me here, Nancy.
She moved to Haiti.
Mr. City Clerk, while we're sort of on the topic, I'm gonna have an opening on the Board of Adjustment.
Okay.
Because my appointee Dottie Joseph was just elected to the State House of Representatives.
Yeah, she was.
So congratulations to Dottie on
Dottie
your
Joseph.
election.
She doesn't run against the Republican?
No,
All right.
she won.
Motion to adjourn?
There's no Republican.
Motion?
She's going to Tallahassee.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Move.